Hi, I'm Itsmintsalad, and I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife. I went to go see it with a couple of friends, and I gotta say, the only thing that made that experience good was the movie theater. Man, I wish I could get a refund. I didn't like that movie at all. The people in the theater kept laughing at what I didn't think were jokes. Like, they were like, oh, laughing, ha ha ha, funny joke. I'm like, what the fuck are you laughing at? It was just some goofy dialogue. So yeah, that was my experience. But I do have a lot more complaints about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Before I get into that, though, I am told that there is a game, that Ghostbusters 3 was a game. Not the movie that was in production for a long time, but then wasn't in production, but there's a game. And I gotta play that game because I've heard it's really good. So get me to 1,000 subs so I can live stream playing that game. Alright, now let's get on with the review. Alright, so when I was looking up reviews on what other people thought, they were mostly talking about how they liked the visuals, and personally, I think the visuals were okay. I feel like they were going more for the 80s look. I don't know how well they did on that, but I just personally think that the visuals look more like just any 2021 film, really. It's just generic. And a lot of Sony films are like that, so it must be just the studio. Important to note that the movie did not try to be a comedy at all. Like, they were just trying to avoid looking like 2016 at all, like whatsoever. No 2016. We do not want to be compared to 2016 because 2016 was a piece of dog shit. But I will say this about 2016. At least 2016 got some of the continuity correct. I will get into this a little later, but it has to do with the proton gun usage. It's egregious in this film. I've seen people talk about how they think, oh, this is a sequel to 1, or this is a sequel to 2. I think it's a sequel to 2 because they mention Ray owning a bookstore, and yeah, Ray only owns a bookstore in 2. Kinda concrete from there. My first overall gripe with this movie is that it's just very cynical, just the entire tone of it. Like, first of all, Egon gets killed off in the beginning because he's the one that's dead in person. Otherwise, Ray would have died. But that's beside the point. Then you got the Safe Puff Marshmallow Men are obvious toy merchandise. I'll also get into that a little bit later. It's just a lot of this aspect of the film is very, very cynical, and there's a lot of Easter eggs for the audience to catch up on. That's just what audience wants these days. It's just Easter eggs to nostalgia bomb their brain so they can experience the good old days again and not live in the present or deal with the fact that the life sucks. Get a better life. Stop liking this schlock. Anyway, back on to Ghostbusters Afterlife. Alright, so they made Egon a dirt farmer, right? And they made him a deadbeat dad. And they're just ruining the legacy of Harold Ramis, because Harold Ramis' character, Egon, is fucking brilliant in Ghostbusters 1. However, they made it so that he's a shitty dad, he sucks with his finances, and dies alone in the end by what he's been hunting, a ghost. Man, that's just such a great way to go, am I right? Who fucking loves that? I don't think Harold Ramis' family loves this at all. And it's just egregious. There's even like a credit at the end that says for Harold, and Harold would have not liked this movie at all. This goes against a lot of things that he likes about the movies, like just the fact that it's about Ray, not Egon, what the fuck are you doing? The entire Ghostbusters franchise started because it's about Ray. And Dan Aykroyd's family are ghost hunters. Like, his family thinks, his parents specifically think that they themselves are ghost hunters. And so Dan Aykroyd had to grow up being in an environment where ghosts are real, being taught that ghosts are real. So this is about Dan Aykroyd, and he's funneled that through Ray, not Egon. This is just a fucking mess of a movie. They got the fucking main character wrong, and now it's about Egon and his family, and it's not funny. Like, just the dialogue, I have to say, not funny. Like, there are attempts at, like, humor where it's like, oh, you got the autistic girl with her bad dad jokes. I like bad dad jokes, which is why I think they made her speak a bunch of bad dad jokes. Because it's just, that's what autistic people like. Me, especially, being an autist. Another point on the autism, throughout the movie, and this goes on to Phoebe's character, throughout the movie, either Phoebe or whatever the mom's character's name is, I don't remember her name at all. Like, I don't give a shit about her character. They keep describing themselves, or Phoebe, as, oh, whenever I listen to a lot of noise, the overstimulation calms me. Or, I deal with problems in my head. Or, this is from the mom, oh, she's clumsy. They're just fucking describing the symptoms of autism. Just to let the audience know that she's quirky and weird. She's just autistic. And I only know this because I experience the same symptoms. And it just seems like very flat out pandering to the autistic market. And I cannot stand it that they didn't make it more subtle. God damn it. On to the mom character. The entire time she's in the movie, her lines, I think at least 50% of her lines consist of, oh, science, I don't understand science. I don't like science. You do you, girl. I can't connect with Phoebe. I can't connect with my children because they're off doing science. Stop fucking talking about not liking science. That's not a cool character. That's not a cool character trait. What the fuck is wrong with you? Learn science. Science is useful. As it turns out in this exact movie, if it wasn't for Phoebe learning how to use the proton packs, which, by the way, now Egon's dead, so he's a Force ghost, and he helps Phoebe fix the proton packs. It's like, oh, you just take these little two nuns and place them there, and boom, they're magically fixed. Wow, I can't believe it. These proton guns are just in near perfect condition after being left to be worked on for how many years? I mean, I get the guy was alive, but you just have to put the two nubs there? That kind of undermines Phoebe's intelligence, because at the beginning of the movie, you establish Phoebe's character to be this very smart person. She's fucking with the electricity at the old house before they get evicted. And it's just like, bro, come on, man. She's smart. She's smart as a character. Even, she is smart by the way that she says nonsense science words like the 2016 version does. But this does a little bit of a better job than the 2016 version of saying science words that kind of make sense. I haven't seen Stranger Things, but Finn Wolfhard is in this movie, and it does not want to make me watch Stranger Things, seeing his performance in this movie. First of all, he's cucked. So he's like a little beta bitch male, and he doesn't change being a beta bitch male throughout the movie. And he has like this crush on this chick, and he just is scared to make a move, and he's angsty and whatnot. And I don't like his character, but not in a good way. Like, there are a bunch of characters in movies and television that I fucking despise, but it's good because it's a well-written character. No. This is not a good character at all. I don't want to see Stranger Things now. Thanks, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Back to the mom. I have to say that making Egon a deadbeat dad and, like, totally estranged from the family up until the end makes Egon a Rick. And we already have a Rick and Morty. The fact that we are comparing this movie to Rick and Morty is hilarious because Rick and Morty is already a deconstruction on a fucking 80s character. Doc Brown from fucking Back to the Future. Why are we comparing deconstruction to deconstruction? This is a fucking weird place that we are in our fucking society. Wow, I can't believe it. Egon Spangler should not be Rick Sanchez. Now we get to Muncher, alright? Muncher is introduced. He's loose in the town, and the kids destroy the entire town just to get Muncher captured, alright? And then, a little bit later, they're in jail, their weapons are confiscated, and, oh no, how am I going to get our weapons? No, it's, our life is ruined and we have to catch a big bad ghost, alright? Oh wow, I can't believe it. Muncher's in the ghost trap. We just released Muncher. Boop. Wow, he ate the cage and now he magically have our guns back. Wow, that was so convenient, wasn't it? It was almost like that was the entire point of Muncher's character. At least fucking Slimer appeared in a couple of scenes before being used. Fucking, this was so blatant of a use. Why would you catch a ghost just to release it later? You kind of want to keep that ghost, or else it's going to roam around and just eat everything in sight. So Muncher was only introduced to later help the plot along, and now that the guns are here, wow, I can't believe it. There was a Muncher here, and now I got my gun? That's so great. I'm so happy. That was totally not a plot device at all. It was just, why would they ever release Muncher?
Why did they catch him?
Why did they fucking catch Muncher?
What was the point? They only busted one ghost in Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Why did they release Muncher? They only caught him so they can use him later. They only catch one ghost in Ghostbusters Afterlife. One ghost in Ghostbusters. And then they release him in Ghostbusters. Later, we see a bunch of other ghosts in town, but they don't bust them in Ghostbusters. But don't worry, they defeat Gozer again. I got another issue. Whenever they introduce a character's skill sets, it's introduced at, like, the right time. And I say this with Trevor in mind, because they introduced the Ecto-1 with Trevor finding it in the garage, and then a scene after that's been introduced. It's working. And you know who fixed it? Trevor, the fucking 17-year-old. He's never been established as a mechanic who can fix that vehicle, which is probably from the 70s or 80s. Who gave him this knowledge? He doesn't have a dad. Who taught him this? His mom sure as shit didn't teach him to become a mechanic. Where are his skill sets coming from? And that's an issue that I have with the rest of the characters, because every time that they wield a proton pack, they can use it perfectly on first execution, including the scene where they test it out. Phoebe kinda has a little trouble with it, but then she kinda gets the hang of it and can use it again. Even Podcast, fucking love Podcast, he can use it flawlessly, even with his weird proton gun acting that he's got going on. That's kind of like my level of acting. And you're in a Hollywood movie. Amazing job, Podcast. And yes, I am bullying a child. I only bring up the proton gun thing because in 2016, the fucking women are shown to have issue with using the proton gun for the first time. Fucking whatever her name's character is, just floats up in the air, hard to control it. That's in the 2016 Ghostbusters. That is supposedly worse than this movie by many. You remember that scene where Phoebe has to distract Gozer? Yeah, that one. The one where she tells a bunch of shitty dad jokes? I was just wondering the entire time I was watching, why the fuck didn't Gozer just kill her ass? Like, banish her? You're telling shitty jokes? Like, seriously. You gotta think about who Gozer is. Gozer is a fucking demon, spawned out as hell, and she has no time to wait. Fucking shoot her ass. Pow, 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 pow. And now Phoebe's gone, the entire movie's gone, and that would be a blast. I fucking hate this movie. I really wish Gozer killed her ass. She distracts Gozer so Podcast can roll this RC cart with the ghost trap underneath one of the dogs to capture the ghost and kind of stop Gozer from being a threat. Because you gotta have two, right? Speaking of Gozer, in the scene where the geology teacher goes to Walmart, and in one of the aisles, there's a bunch of Stay Puft marshmallows. And those marshmallows turn into men. Those tiny little men that are a little bit adorable, just adorable enough to sell toys. They're there, and they're crawling over the place. And he has to fucking escape because they're everywhere. And I mean everywhere. They're coming out of the grills. They're coming out of the fucking inflatable toys. They're coming out of the clothes. They're coming out of everywhere. They're coming out of random places that you wouldn't even know because they come out of marshmallow bags, but yet they're being spawned out of everywhere in that Walmart. You gotta say, that wasn't the original use of the Marshmallow Men. It was originally for Gozer to take form as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Men because Ray thought it would be funny for the Stay Puft Marshmallow Men to destroy New York. It was a fucking demonic vessel. Alright? Not these fucking tiny men. They're not they're not just fucking alive, alright? They're not alive. They don't just appear out of thin air when ghosts are in the area. That's not the essence of the original movie, alright? Why do you have marshmallow men everywhere? And do not tell me why, because I already know. It's for toys. This is a cynical movie. I know what you're doing. And don't do that with my Ghostbusters. Throughout the entire movie, it's all just tell, not show. The characters are described like, oh, I'm clumsy. Oh, I'm a little bit wimpy. But they're just saying, oh, I'm a little bit wimpy. They're not showing how clumsy or wimpy the characters are. And none of the character actions are developing the plot. It's like these characters are little paper boats, right? And they're being driven by the plot river. And there has to be a plot river with all the same beats that these characters have to hit, right? And you have to place these characters in a setting, a specific setting that leads to the next. And these characters have no say in what setting they're in. This is that movie, alright? This is the movie. Paper boats floating in a river. Not fucking paper kayaks driving themselves through the river. They're not controlling their actions. They're just compelled by the plot. Oh, they see thing. They go explore thing. Okay? They're evicted because the mom has no sense of financial security, so they're placed in a dirt farm, and then they explore a dirt farm. Okay? I mean, this is a technically good movie, right? But it's not a good movie. Like, you can tell when a good movie's a good movie, because good movies don't have to hit beats. Good movies have their own beats. They create beats for themselves, and that's the movie. Back to the jail scene. When the kids are asked, who are you gonna call? Because they only get one call. And guess who they call? Ghostbusters! Right? Great line, by the way. They call Ghostbusters. The line that's been in use for 32 years that Phoebe found on a YouTube video from 1984. And I don't believe that Ray still has that number because it takes a lot of fucking work with the phone company to deal with that. Still have that number. Alright, so let's just say that he is attached to the number. And he has that number. Because he does. So when Phoebe goes to call Ray, she's first like, I need your help, sir. There's a bunch of ghosts in my area. Or something like that. The dialogue is very forgettable, but Ray's like, sorry, we don't bust ghosts. And it's all this like dialogue that Phoebe's just talking and talking, trying to convince Ray to help him. And at the end, Phoebe's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm Egon's granddaughter. Why didn't you say that? Why didn't you say that as the first thing? Say the first thing to try to convince someone that they know to help you. You're not very good at this, Phoebe. And I know you're autistic, right? But that's like the very first basic thing is to associate yourself with someone they might know. And yes, I am bullying you. Because I knew this when I was 12, when I was your age. During the phone call, Ray says that Egon left with everything. They just left. Proton packs and all, including the Ecto-1 that we find, alright? And then in the end scene, where the three that are still alive, they show up to help save the day, and they have the guns. They have 3 guns. Where the fuck did they get their guns? If Egon took it all? Did you have a backup stash? Did you break into his house? Where the shit was hidden. There was only 1 proton pack lying around, by the way. Just, why? Just so you can have this ex machina show up, and she didn't do a very good job of convincing them. How the fuck am I supposed to believe that 12-year-old who called convinced Ray to get his ass out of New York, grab the other 2 Ghostbusters, get the packs from somewhere, go to Buckfuck, go to Buckfuck nowhere in Nebraska, where he didn't have an address, and just show up and save the day. I mean, I guess there is this fucking cloud, but what are they supposed to do then? they're kind of fucked with only 3 of them. They can only realistically expect there to be 3, because fucking Egon's dead. Although, in the end scene, Egon does come back, but he's a CGI model, and he doesn't talk. I mean, the CGI model is cool and all, but what really takes me out of it is the fact that he doesn't speak at all. He would have said something in that scene, but he didn't because they didn't have any voice lines because he was dead. Except for that they did, because he did lines in the video game, pull lines from there, but they didn't want to use the video game for whatever reason. Because fuck Harold Ramis and his legacy. Fuck what you say about this movie is trash. The most egregious thing has to be the score, just cause in some parts it's very distracting. Like, you got calm scenes where the character's doing nothing but laying on their side. And then the score is like, do, 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 do. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, score? This is not the mood that you're wanting to set for this character laying down. Chill the fuck out. And they use the original score, but it's used at the wrong time. It's just nostalgia bait. They're using the original score to nostalgia bait you to give them money. You see what they're doing? In closing, Ghostbusters 3 would have been about Ray and Egon dealing with the fact that Venkman is dead, or whoever else died, and the challenges that entails. Venkman could have been a ghost, and that would have been a really cool plot point. However, Harold Ramis never would have thought to ever explore Egon's death, and the fact that this movie has this in honor of Harold Ramis is such a silly joke, and it's just a bad sentiment. If Harold Ramis wasn't dead, this movie would be about Peter, or even Ray himself being dead, and being a deadbeat father who couldn't take care of his kids and was not good with money. But that would be considered disrespectful to Dan Aykroyd's legacy. They would have said, that's a character assassination, which would be right, but since Harold Ramis is dead in real life, they just kill off Egon in the cold open. And they made him a forest ghost, which everyone likes, but is really bad. Goodbye.